In a bustling medieval town where the grand cathedral reached towards the heavens, lived a humble stonemason named Elias. His hands, though rough and calloused, could coax life from cold, unyielding stone. Elias was known not for grand monuments but for the quiet perfection of his work, a skill honed over decades of patient labor. One day the master builder of the cathedral, a stern man named Valerius, summoned Elias. The final, most glorious spire was nearing completion, and a special task remained. Valerius unrolled a set of blueprints, revealing a design of breathtaking complexity, a delicate interwoven wreath of olive branches, to be carved around the very tip of the highest spire. Elias's eyes widened. "Master Valerius," he said, his voice quiet, "this is a masterpiece, but at that height, no one on the ground will ever see such detail. A simpler design would surely suffice." Valerius's gaze was as sharp as a chisel. "Suffice is not the word we use in this house of God, Elias. The design is set. The task is yours. Your payment will be generous." He rolled up the plans and left Elias standing in the shadow of the great church, a mix of awe and bewilderment stirring in his heart. The ascent was a trial in itself. Each morning Elias would climb the rickety scaffolding, the town shrinking below him until the people were but tiny specks. The wind was a constant companion, whipping at his cloak and whispering doubts in his ear. Why such effort, it seemed to hiss. Who will ever know? His fellow masons, working on the lower levels, would call up to him, "Elias, are you carving for the birds?" They'd jest, "Save your strength. No one will see your work up there but the Almighty himself." Their laughter would echo and then be carried away by the wind, leaving Elias alone with his tools, the stone, and his thoughts. Days turned into weeks. The initial excitement of the challenge faded, replaced by the arduous reality of the work. His fingers ached, his back was a constant knot of pain, and the isolation was heavy. He would eat his meager lunch of bread and cheese perched precariously on a wooden beam, the entire world spread out beneath him. It was on one such day, feeling a profound sense of loneliness, that the mason's joke returned to him. "No one will see your work but the Almighty himself." The thought struck him not as a jest, but as a revelation. He looked at the half-finished wreath, its lines still rough and undefined. He had been working for Valerius for his wages for a contract. But what if his audience wasn't Valerius or the townsfolk below? What if he was carving for God? A new energy surged through him. The weariness in his bones seemed to lift. His perspective shifted entirely. This was not a hidden task, it was a private audience. It was an act of worship, a secret conversation between his hands and his creator. He was no longer just a mason carving a design. He was a servant offering his very best, seen or unseen. From that day on, his work was transformed. He was no longer merely following a blueprint. He was pouring his soul into the stone. Every leaf was shaped with reverence, every twist of the branch carved with devotion. He imagined each tap of his hammer and chisel as a prayer, each fleck of falling stone as a whisper to the heavens. The wind no longer whispered doubts, it sang hymns of encouragement. The solitude was no longer a burden. It was a sacred silence, a space for communion. He took his time, refusing to rush. He perfected curves that would be lost in shadow, smoothed edges that no human eye would ever trace. He was crafting an offering, and for God, only perfection would do. The other masons noticed a change in him. He no longer seemed weary when he descended at dusk. Instead, a quiet joy emanated from him, a peacefulness that puzzled them. Finally, the day came when the last olive leaf was complete. The wreath was a marvel of intricate beauty, a testament to faith and dedication, hidden from the world at the pinnacle of the spire. As Elias packed his tools for the final time, he gently ran his fingers over his creation. He felt no pride, only a profound sense of gratitude and fulfillment. He had given his best, not for the praise of men, but out of faithful obedience. Years passed. Elias grew old, his hands too frail for the heavy work of a stonemason. The great cathedral stood as a landmark, its spires a familiar part of the skyline. No one in the town, not even the new master builder, knew of the exquisite wreath hidden at its peak. It remained a secret, shared only between Elias and the sky. One harsh winter, a violent storm, the likes of which no one had ever seen, descended upon the town. Lightning, like a fiery finger of God, struck the cathedral. It did not strike the main roof, nor the bell tower, but the very tip of the highest spire. The next morning, as the dazed townsfolk gathered, they saw that a piece of the spire had broken off and fallen into the cathedral square, and there, lying amidst the rubble, was a section of stone. It was carved with the most beautiful, intricate, and perfect olive leaves anyone had ever seen. People gathered around it, their voices hushed with wonder. They touched the smooth, flowing lines, marveling at the craftsmanship. Who could have created such a masterpiece? They whispered. And for it to be hidden so high, where no one could see it. The elderly Valerius, now bent with age, pushed through the crowd. He looked at the fragment, then up at the damaged spire, and his eyes filled with tears of understanding. He sought out Elias, who was now living in a small, quiet cottage at the edge of town. He found the old mason sitting by his window, looking out towards the cathedral. "Elias," Valerius said, his voice thick with emotion, holding out the fragment. "Your work, it was not for the birds after all. It was for us. It was a lesson for us all." Elias looked at the stone, a gentle smile gracing his lips. He took the fragment and held it in his trembling hands. The familiar texture, a comfort. "No, Master Valerius," he said softly. "It was not for you or for me. It was for him. I just knew he was watching." The story of the stonemason and his hidden wreath became a cherished legend in the town. The fragment was placed in a position of honor inside the cathedral, a permanent reminder that true faith is not about the applause of the crowd. It's about the quiet obedience of the heart, the integrity we maintain when no one is watching. For every act of faithfulness, no matter how small or hidden, is seen and cherished by the one who sees all. Thank you for watching. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more tales of faith and inspiration.